Alright, what is going on? What's happening? How's everyone doing today? My name is Chuck and welcome back to a brand new video. So today, folks, we're going to be jumping into some top Warzone meta loadouts. These are going to be some of the fastest killing guns you guys can use here in Warzone. And of course, I'm going to tell you what the guns are and give you guys a loadout breakdown. So before any farther, if you guys can do me a favor, hit the like button the next 5 seconds for some good luck. And hit that subscribe button as well with all notifications turned on because I'm on the road to 800,000 subscribers. It'd be amazing if you join the squad. Okay, so our first gun we're jumping into here is actually going to be the Stoner. And this is an LMG that has actually been recently getting used quite a bit here within tournaments in Warzone, and for good reason, because it's an absolute laser beam. It's got a really fast time to kill, and it's got a lot of ammo. Kind of reminds me back to the Bruin meta from way back in the early seasons of Modern Warfare Warzone before the Cold War integration. So let's actually jump into this here. First thing on the muzzle category is going to be that agency, suppressor, sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, and of course that effective damage range. This is an LMG after all. We're trying to make this thing as effective as possible, so that's why we're going to run the agency as opposed to the regular suppressor. It is going to make a difference on these guns, and you should always be on the agency or the GRU on any of the Cold War ARs, you know, even sometimes the SMGs nowadays, because that TTK nerf way back in the Season 4 Reloaded, but you should just run the agency suppressor on this. Now in the barrel section, what we're doing here is we're throwing on that 21.8 task force barrel for that increased bullet velocity, horizontal recoil control, effective damage range, and vertical recoil control. This is by far going to be probably the best option for you guys to run here on the Stoner. This is going to be really lethal in terms of, you know, what you can add on for a barrel, so I'd highly recommend you guys run this. We're not trying to go for like peak mobility with this gun. That's not what the Stoner is going to excel at, mobility. It's an LMG, so we're just trying to make this as effective as it can be at putting rounds down range, and that's exactly what the task force is going to do for us. Now on the ammunition side of things, what we're doing here is we're going to throw on that 120 round magazine, and sometimes you could also throw on the 120 round speed mag if you really want to, but the 120 round or the speed mag is getting perfectly okay. Of course, you're just going to lose a little bit ADS time when you happen to use the speed mag, so it's kind of one of those things you have to be understanding of. It's like you can get a little bit of a quicker reload because, you know, the 120 round is going to take a second, so just know that, you know, if you put 120 down range and you're not using the speed mag, it's going to take you a quick second. So find a good spot to reload and you'll be entirely okay. But if you feel like you want to take a bit of ADS penalty, go ahead and use the speed mag. You'll be perfectly fine. Either or is going to work great. In order to boost up our mobility here a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to go and throw on the Serpent grip for that increased ADS time. This is going to be super useful in helping you actually be a tad bit more mobile with your LMG. I mean, you obviously, you know, the only way we're going to be firing this thing is when we're at ADS. So there's no reason you should ever use attachments that are really going to slow down your ADS too much. That's why I said, you know, maybe use a 120 round mag instead of the speed mag, because that will slow down your ADS time. And then to finish this build off, what we're doing here is running that Axle Arms 3x scope. Absolutely love the Axle Arms on this gun. It's really OP, to be honest with you, and this gun's not gonna have all that much recoil to begin with, and you guys are gonna have a lot of fun using this thing, putting some rounds down range. It's pretty OP, and you can lay down some extended fire in comparison to every other AR that's only got up to a max of about 60 rounds in the magazine. You have 120 right now, so this is going to be a lethal force to be messed with. It's got a very fast TTK, and it's being used a lot in tournaments right now for good reason. Okay, so next up here, we're going to be taking a look at the Tech 9 SMG. This thing's got a really fast TTK, but not a lot of people really use the Tech 9, so you guys could definitely start using this thing, as it's going to take out people pretty quickly. On floor loot, it's not the greatest, but when you get actual attachments on it, it's really useful. So first thing in the muzzle category, this doesn't have a regular suppressor, and we're just going to go straight up with that full auto repeater, because this is a single shot weapon by default, so we have to make this fully automatic, and the only way to do that's by using the full auto repeater. This is going to give us, of course, the fully automatic thing, you know, I'd be able to make our gun full auto. It's going to give you a position concealment. It's kind of like, you know, more or less not going to put you on the radar, and then obviously some sprint to fire time, which is always good. It's going to help you get up into more people's faces here, which is definitely awesome. In the barrel section, we're going to go and throw on the 4.9 task force barrel for that effective damage range, bullet velocity, and strafe speed. You are going to get a tad bit of that vertical and horizontal recoil with this gun. And this is going to be one of those things where you guys have to, you know, be able to control some recoil, as the Tech 9 does have a little bit of it, but it does kind of make up for that with that really fast TTK. So as long as you can hit your shots, you're going to be very well off. In the laser section, what we're going to do is we're going to go throw on that Tiger Team Spotlight for that increased movement speed and aim walking movement speed. Absolutely, the Tiger Team Spotlight on all the SMGs in Cold War. Such a good attachment. You guys definitely need to use it. Now on the ammunition side of things, we got to bolster up our magazine here a little bit, so we're going to throw on that Stenag 48 round magazine. This is going to be a great amount of ammunition for this SMG. It's got a really high fire rate, so you're definitely going to burn through it, but you also don't need to go run the fast mag, because it's not going to be all that necessary. This thing's got a pretty good reload speed, and if you really feel like you need to, you could definitely do it. But, you know, like I said, with any sort of, you know, fast mag, you lose a tad bit of ADS time, and the most effective way to use a lot of these guns is to be ADS. It's not like, you know, the Modern Warfare MP5 where you have that, you know, attack laser on there, that 5MW laser where you can just, you know, hip fire everything and it's okay. These guns, you do need ADS, so I'd recommend run the 48 round mag. And to finish off this build, what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw in that SAS combat stock for that firing move speed, aim walking movement speed, and ADS firing move speed. You guys can realistically run the no stock, the SAS combat, or the Raider. I mean, you can literally run whatever it is. I don't even have the Raider unlocked because I haven't been using this gun as much recently. I was using the SAS combat, and in my video when I was making a class setup for it, I used that and it was shredding. So I was really happy with using this, and you guys should definitely go and give this a shot. The stock category is when we can have a little bit more, you know, freedom to kind of mess around with some stuff, but overall the SAS combat, you really can't go wrong with it. This is a banger gun, banger build, and you should definitely give it a shot because your TTK is gonna be pretty high with this thing. Okay, so next up we're gonna be taking a look at one of our favorite SMGs to use on the channel here, the MAC-10. This is gonna be a really awesome SMG, probably the best in Warzone right now for in terms of your time to kill. Also, it's got very, very little recoil, so we're gonna go and give you guys an awesome build with it here. First thing, we're gonna throw on that agency suppressor. This is gonna, of course, help us be a little bit more laser accurate, get us more range. Obviously, I think this is a lot more beneficial than run the sound suppressor nowadays. So if I was you guys, I'd always run the agency on the MAC-10. Very, very useful. Absolutely love running this as a secondary. It's probably like my go-to top choice right now. In the barrel section, I'm going to be throwing on that 5.9 task force for that effective damage range, bullet velocity, and strafe speed. Who doesn't love getting a little bit more bullet velocity, strafe speed, and, you know, of course, damage range? I mean, that's basically three things you love to have with your barrel. And pretty much the cons don't really exist. I mean, nobody's getting any recoil out of this thing. It just doesn't have recoil in Warzone. I mean, in Cold War, yeah, it does, but in Warzone, nah, no shot. In the laser section, throwing on that beautiful Tiger Team Spotlight. We got to be a little bit more agile here. That's the name of the game with an SMG up close. Just got to be able to move very, very quickly. So movement speed, aim walking movement speed, you're going to get that with the Tiger Team Spotlight. It's going to be a beautiful attachment. Definitely throw this on there. For the ammunition side of things, we're going to go throw on that Stenag 53 round drum. I have seen some people run the Salvo 53 round fast mag. To be honest with you, I don't find any real inherent need to run the fast mag on this gun. I just don't. So I always just run the 53 round drum, and it really has never failed me. You guys, I've used it so many times. So I've got so many kills with the MAC-10, and it's never failed me using the 53 round drum. Just always throw this on there. And to finish off my meta MAC-10 build here, we're gonna throw on that Raider stock, ADS firing move speed, aim walking movement speed, and sprint to fire time. Overall, the Raider stock is an amazing attachment for this gun. The MAC-10 is an amazing gun in general, and it's my top tier #1 SMG go-to in the entirety of Warzone right now. All right, next up in here, we're gonna be taking a bit of a look here at an AS Val build, because the AS Val, even though they did try to nerf it a little bit, it's still got an incredibly fast TTK, probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest in Warzone, especially at that close range. So we're gonna go and throw this on here. For our barrel section, we're going to use that VLK 200mm OSA barrel, damage range, and bullet velocity. Of course, this negatively impacts your ADS speed, which is entirely okay because, I mean, we're going to have more than enough anyways. So just throw this on here. It's the best barrel by far. In the underbarrel section, we're going to go throw on the Commando foregrip. This is going to give us that increased recoil stabilization and aiming stability, though you guys could definitely throw on the Merc foregrip if you really want to. You are just going to lose a little bit on your ADS speed, but it will be better for those close quarter situations when you're hip firing. So it's one of those things you have to kind of, you know, weigh in. It's like, do you want more hip fire accuracy, a little bit less ADS, or would you rather just be ADSing a little bit quicker and still getting some good recoil control? I prefer to ADS more often than not, so that's why I'm going to run the Commando foregrip. You guys should definitely just run this. I feel like this attachment's here kind of a given. The 30 round magazine on the AS Val, this thing has 20 rounds stock, which is pitiful. And especially for an automatic, you know, AR is what this thing is classified as. So we have to run the 30 rounds, and that's the only option we have. Otherwise, you're running basically the sniper magazine, which is going to make this into a semi-auto round sniper. And that's not what we're trying to do here. Definitely never do that. Run the 30 round magazine. In the rear grip section, we're gonna go throw on that beautiful stippled grip tape for the increased ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. We just love running the stippled grip tape on any of the Modern Warfare weapons. Personally, I love running stippled on all of these things. It's just really good. You just can't go wrong. I mean, seriously, you just cannot go wrong running stippled on pretty much any Modern Warfare weapon. And lastly, in the perk section, because we're trying to compensate for a low amount of ammo, we're gonna go ahead and throw on Sleight of Hand. I normally don't run perks or anything on my builds, but because this thing has so little ammo, I want to be able to reload pretty quickly, and that's going to help out in Warzone when you're coming in contact with more than one person. This is a great gun for solos, but when you start getting to duos, trios, and quads, especially on Rebirth or something like that, hey, listen, Sleight of Hand's going to be a must on this gun just to be able to get more of those reloads off. It will come in dummy clutch. You'll thank me later, so throw on Sleight of Hand here. This is an amazing AS Val build. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Fast TTK gun for sure. It's been that way for a long time. All right, and last but definitely not least, I want to take a look here at the EM2. This gun hits pretty much harder than the C58. The C58 was like the meta for a long time, and this thing's going to kill people faster. It's just going to have a tad bit more recoil, so if you guys can't deal with the recoil, it's not going to be as fast of a TTK, but overall, this is going to be a really great gun for you guys to use. So first thing in the muzzle category, throwing on that agency, suppressor, sound suppression, vertical recoil, control bullet velocity, and effective damage range. Of course, this is what the agency does for a majority of the guns, if not all of them. I'd highly recommend doing this, just because obviously this is an AR, not an SMG, but even then, like I said, the SMGs, we kind of end up running the agency or the GRU on them anyways. Just go ahead and run the agency on this. In the barrel section, like a classic AR build, we're going to throw on that 25.8 Task Force barrel. This is going to be amazing. It's definitely by far the best barrel. It's going to give you some cons here on pretty much like your movement and your ADS, which is pretty much to be expected out of like the heaviest barrel in the category. It's just kind of one of those things, you have to have those trade-offs, but it's entirely okay because this isn't a close range gun. We're not trying to make this a super, super mobility type of build here, loadout for this gun. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make this thing as effective as it can be at those medium to longer ranges, which is what the EM2 is going to excel at. The underbarrel on this gun is an absolute must. On some of the guns you can get away with not running, like for instance the Krig 6, but on this gun you definitely cannot do that. So we need to run that field agent grip here for that horizontal and vertical recoil control. This will slow you down here once again a little bit. That's entirely okay. We're not trying to be super agile. We're just trying to hit really hard and be super accurate. So that's what this build's going to be. In the ammunition side of things, you have a couple of options in here, which I'd recommend, aka one is the base 40 round magazine. This is going to give you more ammo capacity, but it's not going to slow down your ADS speed. And this thing can have a bit of a slow ADS speed, or if you are okay with that, you can run the Stanag 50 round magazine. That's going to give you, of course, a bit of a slower ADS speed, but you will have 10 more rounds in the magazine. So it's kind of one of those things. For me personally, I've been running 40 and I found that to be, a great amount of ammunition for this gun. And I really like the way it feels in terms of its mobility. So I'd recommend to go with the 40 instead of the 50. But like I said, it's entirely up to you and what you feel like you're okay with. And then to finish off this build here, we're going to throw on the Axle Arms 3 times. Love this on this gun. I mean, this gun's been growing on me the more I use it, and especially that Axle Arms, man. Holy crap. I mean, this thing hits like a truck. You're going to be taking people out very quickly, deleting their armor plates. I mean, I love this gun. So that's gonna be about it here for today's video. Hope you guys have enjoyed this top 5 Warzone meta loadouts for the fastest killing guns. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit the subscribe button with all notifications turned on, and just run on Triple Cap. Don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.